का है, छत्तीसगढ़ का एड्रेस ना आके दिल्ली का आएगा। तो जीएसटीएन इनवॉइस रेफरेंस तो वहाँ है लेकिन एड्रेस दिल्ली का है, उससे कोई कंफ्यूजन तो नहीं होगी, ये मेरा डाउट है।
तो कंफ्यूजन आपका मतलब व्हाट इज द एप्रीहेंशन?
मेरी एलसी खुली दिल्ली में, कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिस है क्योंकि दिल्ली के एड्रेस पे बेनिफिशियरी दिल्ली है। मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हुआ मेरा छत्तीसगढ़ में या झारखंड में या उड़ीसा में, और वहाँ से गुड्स पोर्ट पे गया, वहाँ से जीएसटी इनवॉइस रेज हुआ, मैं वहाँ से 10 जीएसटी इनवॉइस रेज।
ठीक बात है, लेकिन आपका जो रिफंड्स आने हैं,
हाँ,
जो आईजीएसटी रिफंड आना है वो आपके
नहीं
प्लांट में आएगा।
प्लांट में ही आएगा, लेकिन प्लांट में जो जीएसटीएन ऑफिसर बैठा है वो कहेगा कि इसमें जो, क्योंकि शिपिंग बिल का डाटा जब वो खोलेगा सिस्टम पे तो वहाँ पे एड्रेस आएगा दिल्ली का, ना कि प्लांट लोकेशन का।
शिपिंग बिल, दैट्स द रीजन शिपिंग बिल इज कैरिंग बोथ द रेफरेंसेस ना। शिपिंग बिल इज कैरिंग बोथ द रेफरेंसेस।
हाँ, रेफरेंस में केवल जीएसटीएन नंबर होगा, एड्रेस नहीं होगा।
ठीक बात है, वी आर नॉट लिंकिंग इट टू एड्रेस एट ऑल। इन केस ऑफ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन्स इट इज योर रजिस्ट्रेशन। आई डोंट परसीव एनी डिफिकल्टी, पर फिर भी आप इस पे अगर आपको एप्रीहेंशन लगता है, एक मेल भेज दीजिए ताकि आपको हम एग्जामिन करके जवाब दे सकें।
ठीक है सर। और दूसरी चीज़ है, मैं अभी नेपाल बॉर्डर होके आया हूँ। सोनौली बॉर्डर एक फुल्ली मैनुअल ऑपरेशनल था, मैनुअल शिपिंग बिल के लिए। 1 जुलाई से जीएसटीएन हो गया। मैं 4 दिन वहाँ बैठा था, 4 दिन में 15 किलोमीटर तो दूर तक ट्रकों की लाइन लग गई, क्योंकि वहाँ एक सिस्टम है डेस्कटॉप, 2 कमरे का ऑफिस है, सारे पुराने स्टाफ ट्रांसफ़र हो गए, नए स्टाफ आए। वहाँ पे कमिश्नर लखनऊ से ट्रेवल करके आ रहे थे बाई रोड, उन्होंने देखा 15 किलोमीटर लंबा लाइन है, वापस चले गए। कहते हैं कि सर इतना लंबा क्यों, कौन हेडेक लेगा, क्योंकि एक सिस्टम में जीएसटी के हिसाब, जीएसटीएन के हिसाब से ईडीआई के रूप में आपको शिपिंग बिल फाइल करना है, कैसे फाइल होगा?
ठीक है, तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बढ़ाने का इशू है।
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बढ़ाने का, और वो 15 किलोमीटर लाइन जो महीनों खड़ी रहेगी, वो डैमरेज और डिटेंशन कौन भरेगा?
पॉइंट वेल टेकन, उसके ऊपर जवाब पूछ लेंगे। अगर वैसी दिक्कत है तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वहाँ पे बढ़ा देंगे।
नहीं, बढ़ने में टाइम लगता है सर। आप ईडीआई सिस्टम को वहाँ लगाएंगे तो उसमें करीब आप 2 से 3 महीने लगेंगे।
नहीं लगेगा?
लगेगा सर, क्योंकि उसके पास अभी तक बिल्डिंग नहीं है, अपना कुछ भी नहीं है, तो कैसे होगा?
तो आप सुझाव दीजिए क्या करें।
सुझाव ये है कि दोनों पैरेलल चलने चाहिए अभी, जब तक कि आपका कंप्लीट नहीं हो जाता ईडीआई का।
देखिए, मैनुअल तो नहीं चलेगा, चलेगा ईडीआई पे ही।
अब ये बताइए कि एक सिस्टम पे ईडीआई का कैसे ईजीएम इंपोर्ट का भी करेगा और एक्सपोर्ट का भी करेगा, कैसे करेगा?
अच्छी बात है, आपने बता दिया है। उसको उसी हिसाब से कमिश्नर लखनऊ से बात करते हैं, सनौली से बात करते हैं। अगर वो इशू है तो उसका सोल्यूशन निकाला जाएगा। वो देखिए, ये इश्यूज आर बाउंड टू हैपन।
ये तो मैंने एक बॉर्डर का बताया, रक्सौल में भी वही बुरा हाल है, लेकिन रक्सौल में ये है कि 2-4 शिपिंग बिल है क्योंकि ऑलरेडी ईडीआई पहले से था। ठीक है, और इसी तरह बैठा मोड़ का है नेपाल में, सब कुछ रिफंड, सारे कुछ लेट होगा।
किस चीज के? देखिए, सिर्फ इस महीने का समय दीजिए। उसका वर्कआउट कर रहे हैं कि उसको ऑटोमेटिक कैसे किया जा सकता है, क्या मैं खुद वेरीफाई कर सकता हूँ। थोड़ा वक्त दीजिए। इतना भरोसा मत छोड़िए कि बिल्कुल सब लोग बदमाश बैठे हैं, भरोसा नहीं कर सकते इनका।
वो 4-5% पे भी हम लोग काम उठा लेते हैं। अब अगर हमारे को इतनी परेशानी होगी और हमारे कस्टमर्स तंग हो जाएंगे तो हमारा कंटिन्यूटी ऑफ बिजनेस सफ़र करेगा। तो प्लीज़, मेरा हम्बल सबमिशन था आप सब लोगों से बैठे हुए, या आप सब लोगों की विद इन कैपेसिटी है, इसके लिए जीएसटी काउंसिल पे नहीं जाना, कि आप अपने ऑफिस ऑर्डर से या कम से कम अपने स्टाफ को जब सेंसिटाइज कर रहे हैं तो इन ऑर्डर्स की फ्यूटिलिटी देखते हुए ख़त्म कर दीजिए। इनकी ज़रूरत मुझे नहीं लगती, जो पिछले 15-20 साल में हम लोगों ने डिस्कशन करे।
ऐसा नहीं है कि हम अनभिज्ञ हैं इससे, इसके बारे में चर्चा हुई है। सम some suggestions have been sent, but अभी decision is at a collective national level, ठीक है? तो थोड़ा सा इसलिए मैंने कहा थोड़ा सा समय, ठीक बात है आपकी पेन चल रही है, but उसको कम किया जाएगा, ये भरोसा रखो आप.
Acha, excuse me now, we have some common questions which Mr. Sanjay Beswal has noted, which were during the days. So I think if he takes up some of the policy questions, that will be more important since we have very senior people here. So,
Sir, actually,
can you wait, please? Give us some.
Okay, sir, one of the question was कि MEIS, SEIS scripts को sell करने के लिए the code, the HS code, has that been decided? Because in one of the tweets, DGFT said 4907.
Who says 4907?
DGFT का.
देखिए 49
और
हाँ नहीं पता.
और एक जो है वो शेड्यूल 3 के अंदर है जो रेसिडुअल कैटेगरी है जिसमें 18% है. So till the time that clarity is there, the sale is not happening.
Okay, let's be clear. 4907 is for the goods.
Yes.
Okay. When I am printing a script and supplying, that is something which will fall in 4907. Here, what am I doing? I am actually giving up my right to use and giving it to somebody else. So it will go to the residual category. Let's have no confusion about it.
इसके सर एक clarity दे दीजिए because
ठीक
DGFT
है,
के tweet
that point we
12%
noted,
है
but
वो.
4907 में it is the physical when printed जो script security paper पे print करके दे रहा है उसको 12% लगेगा. Not when you are passing it on, when you are giving up your right for a consideration to somebody else.
Okay.
जी.
So basically 18% मान लेते हैं.
And with credit clarification, because there is some doubts, though as a policy it appears that credit would always be available, but still there are doubts in the industry that they would be
ठीक है,
credit
पर
will be
उसका
available
specific
for
आप भेज दीजिए ताकि उसका clarification issue हो.
ठीक है सर. अच्छा EOU का practically अब कोई use नहीं रह गया है या
BCD exemption.
हाँ BCD exemption के अलावा.
So you will need to evaluate के cost benefit किस sector में है किस में नहीं है.
So the question was that is the government thinking of closing down the EOU
No,
scheme?
there is no such proposal, but there is no distinction between the domestic operations and the other operations to the extent EOU or domestic unit is concerned. But if there is a heavy import content, then maybe it is advantageous still, and you are only exporting. If it's a manufacture import for export purposes, then it may still make sense. But if you have a huge domestic linkage also, it may not.
Okay, सर एक प्रोजेक्ट इंपोर्ट के केस के अंदर प्रोजेक्ट इंपोर्ट में ड्यूटी कंसेशन है 7.5 to 5 or 0 whatever, but earlier CVD was based on the excise duty, merit excise duty. But now for project import, there is a specified entry in which the duty is 18%. So for all project imports, the duty IGST should be 18%. Now this has created some situations where the normal GST is only say 5% or 12%, but the IGST is 18%. A case in point is say metro cars. तो metro cars के लिए IGST 5% है. Project import में लेकर के आते हैं तो 5% basic customs duty है और 18% जो है वो IGST लग जाता है. तो it is for metro cars at least as of now it is better to import without project import scheme 10% में plus 5% IGST. So this is probably an anomaly. Which
No, it's
may
not
be,
an anomaly, but this is something like a project import. What was the basic intent? Earlier also, now also. That instead of going merit assessment for all the small components of a project, you get a summary assessment under one heading at one rate. Okay. So it was administrative ease vis-a-vis the cost part of it.
and some difference in duty, some basic concession in duty as well.
No, that is because you had a tool available. Today that tool is not available. Okay. So this is something which needs to be evaluated. This is again for in the excise regime, 98 is for the first time. Let's look at it. It is now, it is 98 is for the first time. Otherwise, it was only a central privilege to have chapter 98 on the import side, on the custom side. So this is, we are also learning as we are getting into, but as on date, yes, in some cases, it may not be beneficial to go for project import. But आप देखिए, if administrative ease is so much, if your import components are so varied, that merit assessment will be very, very time taking. Then you need.
सर एक जो होप है सारे एक्सपोर्टर्स की कि फॉरेन ट्रेड पॉलिसी आने वाली है 3 महीने के बाद में, तो ये जो issues हैं with regard to the cash flow etc. As of today तो आपने advance license के अंदर में IGST ख़त्म कर दिया है, but probably you can bring in some instrument under the foreign trade policy by which these issues of cash flow sticking may be resolved. So the request of all the exporters is कि उसको थोड़ा सा sympathetically देखें.
It is not as if the government is not seized of some of these issues. These issues are in the knowledge of the government. And while the foreign trade policy is under review and due to come out shortly, my suggestion would be that some of these issues, as has already been discussed earlier, probably it would be worthwhile for you to formulate it in the form of a representation backed by data so that the government can take an informed decision and come out with something.
One last question is refunds के केस के अंदर we have two options. So वो कौन से option के अंदर कब जा सकते हैं, कब switch कर सकते हैं? Is there a clarity? So for this month, for example, exporter goes on the option of paying IGST on the output. Next month में अगर उसको लगता है कि जो है input IGST का refund लेना better है, so when can he switch?
There's
or
no
is there
restriction, right? It's not a scheme.
Yeah.
When you clear your goods on payment of IGST, you can claim IGST refund shipment wise. And when you are not taking exemption, you're clearing under LUT or bond, then you take the ITC refund. So that's a shipment thing, that's your decision.
Sir, on sea freight, there is
Pradeep, just a minute, on this
Sir, excuse
issue
me.
of review of FTP. And the
There
government,
are two, three questions, and which is
while the government is reviewing FTP, I'm sure that they do have the considerations and some of the sensitivities involved with some of the schemes. Like in case of EPCG, the export obligation earlier was 6 times of the duty saved. Surely they will have both on the quantum of the duty, which will now only be BCD, so I'm sure that they'll map it now with BCD, and as well as the number of years, which was 6 years, so they might, kind of reduce it. So please wait for the new midterm review which is coming up, and I'm sure the government is definitely very, very sensitive to the needs of the exporting community.
Sir, one question here that where in sea freight, when you are exporting, GST is 5% on sea freight, and on air freight in export is 18%. But when you are importing, sea freight is 5% GST and air freight is 0% GST. So this was a little bit of an anomaly which came up as a suggestion that it should be uniform 5% or something like this.
Issue has been flagged actually.
It's
This is an issue which is already being discussed.
Yes.
The shipping freight actually, there was a consideration for the Indian shippers.
Yeah.
Okay, taking that into account, actually a different structure was proposed. But this is still being examined. This is something-
Yes.
we are actually into manufacturing of agricultural products. So earlier we used to be taxed at 0 rate only. So now in GST regime, so this is being taxed at 12%. So now the thing is that actually the entire industry, or I would say so I have talked to various associations, we are part of certain associations of which are manufacturing agricultural products. So everybody, actually this is a nil rated product as per the earlier regime. So now we have moved our goods on 0 tax rates to our various warehouses, depots or retail counters. So in the production manufacturing state as well as in other states. So what is the position now regarding this ITC credit on these goods which are moved to our own warehouses, our own depots, our own dealers or our own retail counters in the manufacturing state as well as in other states where we are actually selling those products? What is the status of tax credit?
I'm sorry, I'll cut you here because this is again an operational issue. So this can be discussed with Mr. Sanjay Beswal or something. This is not a policy decision where
This is a big confusion actually with the industry. So
he can, I'm sure he can clear it.
Excuse me.
Uh,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
One, please, one.
yeah.
Sir, if we are exporting from X country to Y country and the shipment is not coming to India, but the foreign exchange is coming to India, so in that case, we have to make an invoice. So So either we will put IGST on that, because there is not any shipping bill in that case. Like
Supply
if we are-
from
if-
India, so I mean,
if
there is
we
a
are-
question of IGST or any GST.
But the invoice will be now on our GST invoice.
You are only getting foreign exchange, right? There is no supply from India.
Yeah. But then the invoice, now the invoice format is changed on the GST. So what we will put on that? The commercial invoice as well as the invoice from our tax, the tax invoice, tele invoice.
So the other,
That is a switch BL or high C sale.
so one, let me just accentuate the problem. The problem
there's
is
no supply.
that if it is a mercantile export, it is outside the taxable territory and therefore is not covered by the GST laws. To that extent, it is acceptable that I will raise an export in commercial invoice and export it. But as soon as that supply is non-taxable under GST laws, it becomes an exempt supply. And as soon as some of my supplies become exempt supply, I am required to do a reversal on my credits. And to that extent, if it is taxable, okay, I need to understand the process, I need to raise a GST invoice. If it is not taxable, then I need a clarity that it is not covered under exempt supplies.
No, please come out. I thought you are saying that the goods are not going out of India.
They are not coming to India. I am buying from China, selling to Africa without getting goods into India.
But the invoice and the payment is.
So
payment
invoice
is
comes to
here,
me?
And invoice is also generating from here. And we have now GST option.
Not even high seas.
Yeah, the offshore trading is what is taking place. So,
Yeah.
third party.
And now we don't have
What,
any.
I'll advise, in fact, I'll not be able to give a
No, understand.
impromptu
So
answer.
this is an issue which needs to be highlighted. And
But if you could give us an example of your operations, a hypothetical example, and send a mail,
Sure.
just get it examined and come
Just
up with
you
a
can put a mail and then we can have a look at it.
We
Yes,
already-
here,
Sir,
here,
no.
can you have your question, please?
It is stating two facts. What we already discussed, that the working capital requirement it looks to be increasing substantially. And besides that, a lot of us in the engineering sector are working on single-digit margins or very limited margins to compete with likes of China, etc. So we have to be very, very competitive. So now, until now, all our fight was always international, that we are fighting between India and China or other competitive nations. But now we are also fighting in the pre-GST and post-GST regime. For example, we make components which are not excisable, like bicycle components. Earlier on, we used to get, for these 3 months when we are referring, we used to get the VAT refund in addition to the drawback. But now we will stop getting the VAT now for these 3 months. So this will add up some burden of about 3 or 4%. And plus we used to also get some service tax involved in this particular shipment back, which we wouldn't get. So we will be incompetitive within our own country by just within a day by around 3 or 4% in this particular ruling. And secondly, when we are shifting into the other regime of getting all the GST back and stopping the drawback, then according to my calculation, with about 45% value addition, we are losing on about 7 to 8% in terms of our final cost that we deliver. And there's another fact which came to light, which is very stark to what it should be. As soon as we are increasing our value addition on our components, our competitiveness starts to diminish further, because the refund that we get is only on the raw material or the basic inputs. It's not on the value addition per se. So it will really discourage the entire community to invest into technology or invest into newer processes or more efficient processes to increase our value additions. So these are 3 submissions.
You know, your first thing comes back to that whether SGST portion would be given or not during the transition period, which has already been answered by my colleague, that the government has not said no. So that's the only positive part of it.
Yes, we want a yes.
That's right. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have a yes as of now, but we have not said no either. Now, the second thing is what happens to the value addition. He says that not able to capture. See, the IGST which you will pay would be on the value addition. And you are getting that IGST back.
Aren't we getting,
Yes.
but aren't we just getting,
Sir,
Would he be able to tell him?
okay, okay.
Yeah.
We do it later.
Sir.
Yeah.
We can speak to him.
That's just the way of understanding it.
Sir,
We are-
in the
We are going to take the last question now
Okay.
because we are getting late. So this is going to be the last question.
sir, good evening to all the esteemed members. In the coming 3 months till 30th June, when I am working under full drawback scheme, if I am importing some products under advance authorization and paying the IGST as well, so can I opt for input tax credit refund of the products that have been made specifically out of goods imported under the advance authorization?
Please come out again.
Okay.
Please come out.
I am working under no credit availed scheme. I am going for the full composite rate of drawback. For the next 3 months, as an exporter, I am availing the full composite rate of drawback. Now, I also have inputs which are being imported under the advance authorization scheme, where IGST is being paid by me. Can I take the input tax credit for those particular inputs and claim the refund, because those inputs are not being used for the products that are being sent under the full drawback scheme?
See, if you are using the advance authorization scheme, duty
there is no
drawback would not
ITC,
be
no?
available at all.
There is no ITC there.
So,
See, whatever you have got under advance authorization prior to 30th of June, you didn't pay anything, right?
No, I'm talking about now, for the next 3 months.
So, see, now in advance authorization, you have to pay IGST, na?
I know I have to pay IGST.
Yes.
But I am also making products for which inputs have been domestically procured. And I am not availing the credit, GST credit, and I am going for the full composite drawback. But for those inputs which are being imported under the advance authorization, where now I pay the IGST, can I go for the ITC refund for those particular inputs only? Because they are clearly defined from the input stage till the production stage.
I think he has a case. What he is saying is that under advance authorization post 1st July you are talking, right?
Yes.
When you take composite rates, you are saying because you have already taken the BCD exemption.
Yes.
Is that your question?
No, I have two sets of items. I have two sets of items. एक मैं इंपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ और एक मैं इंडिया से ले रहा हूँ. जो इंपोर्ट किया मैंने एडवांस लाइसेंस में लिया, IGST पे किया. मैं चाहता हूँ कि मुझे उसका IGST रिफंड मिल जाए, क्योंकि और जो बाकी जो है जिसका मैं क्रेडिट नहीं ले रहा,
You will not get. You will not get. I got it. You will not get IGST refund.
Sir, one last question. A big one. You have mentioned a lot of places jurisdictional authority. When do you think you will be able to finalize jurisdictional authority? Because it will make things a little more simpler for us, because we know where to approach, whom to approach.
The government is completely aware of this. And meanwhile, whatever instructions are coming, have this in mind, and that is why the tax SSC has been given that kind of a choice where to go. Because we understand that there would be a confusion unless they know where to go. So we are making in all our circulars very clear that any instruction which is coming, whom to approach to. So that should not affect you as of now.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Or we can
Sir,
wrap up just
just
one policy related issue which I just wanted to discuss. Broader issue, not really policy related issue. Now, all of us now understand that there is a concept of inter-office services, and there has to be billing which is to be done for inter-office services also. And there are provisions where it can be exempted for certain sectors, or at least invoicing can be delayed to quarterly invoicing for certain sectors. Is there any thought process with respect to MSMEs or some other specific sectors where they do not need to do any invoicing for services provided by head offices to branch or branch offices to other branches, etc.? Because that is a very complicated compliance as far as small and medium businesses
As of now, no, but I mean, you can give a presentation to the MSME sector and the sectoral group, and they can have a look.
Excuse me, sir. So just
Because
one
there
last-
are, 18 sectoral groups, and most of you would see yourself in falling in one or the other more sectoral groups. So if you think that there are certain policy-related issues which can still be looked into, please give your representations to them through your association.
And details of these are available on the CBEC website. The 18 sectoral groups.
So can I have a last, just
Thank you.
one question on bond? Just
One
last
more
question
I
on
have.
bond.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to the last segment of today's program. We are very much thankful to our respected dignitaries and speakers for sparing their valuable time for the program with us. And we are also thankful for our friends from the industry for the support and enthusiasm throughout the program today. I hope we could provide you some meaningful takeaways from today's program. And I request all of you to kindly fill your feedback forms and keep lying on the table, or maybe you can submit it at the registration counter. Now, as a small gesture of gratitude, may I request Mr. Pradeep Agarwal to kindly present a memento to Mrs. Archana Tiwari, Madam. Agarwal to kindly present a memento to Mr. Tejpal Singh, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Again, request Mr. Pradeep Agarwal to kindly present a memento to Mrs. Vasundhara Sinha, Madam. Pradeep Agarwal, sir, kindly present a memento to Mr. Yogendra Garg. Thank you very much, Pradeep, sir. May I now request Mr. Rakesh Suraj to kindly present a memento to Mr. Sandeep Chilana. I again request Mr. Rakesh Suraj to kindly present a memento to Mr. Sanjay Beswal. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. With this, we wind up with today's program. Thank you all for sparing your valuable time with us.